The internet, perhaps to some people's surprise, is not keeping everyone informed, and nor will it. In fact, it is magnifying problems of information inequality, misinformation, polarization and disengagement. You saw what Tim Berners-Lee said about that 40% and the 60%. And for the BBC to fulfill its mission to strive to provide information to everyone, to keep everyone informed, well, the BBC is going to have to grapple with some big strategic choices. Back in 2002, the former editor of the Financial Times, then in fact my boss, Richard Lambert, he reviewed the progress of the BBC's news channel. It's quite interesting. This is 2002. Look back at what he said about the news channel, then launched just 5 years earlier. He said, "People are growing accustomed to looking for news at times that suit them, rather than the publisher or the broadcaster. Especially when some major news story is breaking, viewers or readers want immediate access to what is going on." He was right, but of course, as we know, the world has already moved on. Those people who, quote, grew accustomed to looking for news at times that suit them no longer rely on news channels solely to get their fix. The outlines of this revolution are clear. In the UK last year, on average, TV news reached 92% of people over 55 each week. Among 16 to 34-year-olds, this falls to 52%, down from 69% in 2004. More and more people in the UK are switching to digital platforms instead. In fact, 2 in 5 adults are now using online platforms to access news, a rise of 28% between 2013 and 2014. Use of mobile devices for news rose by 50% in that time, and of other online devices by 24%. When news consumers are asked about their main source of news, television is now only just ahead of online. 41% say that television is their main source, against 38% online. And again, there's an age difference here. The age difference is really clear. 76% of 18 to 24-year-olds consider online as their main source of news, as against 56% of those aged 55 and over who choose television. The BBC News Channel is the most watched 24-hour news channel in the UK, reaching 8.6 million adults a week. But like TV news more widely, the channel's reach has fallen over the last 3 years, as has Sky's. So what do these figures tell us? I think they tell us that just as the BBC redefined the news for Britain first on radio, then on television, and more recently online, we must now consider very carefully the prospect that we may need to do so again. Technology, once again, is transforming the way the BBC tells stories, the way everyone gets stories. In particular, it is changing the way people get breaking news. There's a shift from rolling news channels on television to streaming news on mobile. When we launched the BBC News Channel nearly 20 years ago, it led a revolution in news. It harnessed the power of multi-channel television and satellite communications to give people the news as it happened. Today, the smartphone and the internet are forcing another revolution. Not only can we get the news as it happens, but the news we want, wherever we are. This represents, to my mind, an opportunity as exciting as the launch of the 24-hour news in 1997, and will force the BBC to think how best we reach people. And of course, too, it makes it an age of uncertainty for those of us who want jobs and love jobs in the media, who believe in journalism. And I guess I'm often asked, is this a difficult time to be getting into news, a difficult time to be getting into journalism? Well, I'd say my answer is, are you kidding? It is a brilliant time. More than ever, I believe, this is a time of opportunity. In fact, I think we live at the most exciting time for journalism since the advent of television. For anyone interested in reporting the world, finding stories, telling stories, sharing stories, It's all become just so much more possible. And gone are the days when you needed to get indentures on a newspaper or find a broadcast training scheme if you wanted to join the Fourth Estate. The age of the internet has changed such a prospect and the news infinitely for the better. The powers that be are you. And look at the speed of change inside an organisation like the BBC itself, engaging our viewers, listeners and users so that we have a genuinely activated audience, turning news into something you do rather than something just that you get. I'll give you a few examples. There's BBC Trending. It's like our bureau on the internet, reporting on what's being shared around the world and why it matters. BBC Trending pages are accessed on average by around 2.7 million unique browsers a week, peaking at nearly 5 million unique browsers when they have a popular story like the photographer who broke the internet's heart. A BBC Trending video on stereotypes about Chinese tourists got over 500,000 views this week.